Is metal dying, and what's the future of heavy metal? Find out next on Music Is Your Friend. Boom! Hello and welcome to Music Is Your Friend. Today I'm gonna talk to you about metal and I'm gonna answer the question, is metal dying? Before I go on, please click that subscribe button because I really need all the support that I can get to keep this channel going. So, is metal dying? Sadly, I think it is. Now, I know that I will listen to metal till my very last breath. Some of my best memories are related to music and more specifically heavy metal. And I will cherish those memories, and I advise you to do exactly the same. But the thing is that metal is dying. I have an expiration date, you have an expiration date. We're all gonna die at some point in the future, and our memories are gonna die with us. So the memories of heavy metal will die with us. Now, if metal wants to live on for more than one generation, we need metal bands. We need bands that will live on and have long careers so people can grow up with that music and make new lifelong memories and cherish those memories until they die. It really is that simple. So I'm not really talking about, what chords band need to play in order to be successful, but there are some, formulas that you can figure out from bands that have existed and made careers so far. No metal bands, no metal. No touring metal bands, no metal. Low quality metal bands, shorter lasting memories. No metal, no memories. First, we gotta stop with all the divisions. There should be only two relevant divisions in heavy metal. Number one, serious metal. Number two, metal that's not serious. So today I'm gonna talk to you about heavy metal.
Yeah, but I don't listen to heavy metal. I only listen to Ethiopian, vegan, obscure, progressive, powercore, gent metal.
Oh, grow the fuck up. In this video, I will not get into why this or that band sucks. I'm saving that for another video. I'm only talking about genres today. You really need to understand that we are all connected, even though I don't acknowledge your favorite band. And I don't overappreciate or even appreciate their lack of authorship, lack of creativity, or their lack of honesty. The thing is that we all live under the same sun because we all play in the same clubs.
So what's the story here? Are you talking about heavy metal or other metal genres?
The thing is, it doesn't really matter because if we lose the core of the genre, something that you can call traditional or heavy metal or hard and heavy. If we lose that, other genres will grow weak and they will eventually die out. If you lose that traditional core, you will not be able to see any quality metal band performing live on a big stage with pyro and the whole chimichanga. You won't hear a glorious metal band playing a big PA somewhere live in the open. Metal will be pushed underground into these clubs, and the venues and the stages are gonna grow smaller and smaller, and in the end bands won't even have a place to hang their backdrop. From a formidable force in music and die-hard fans in every country, metal will become a niche market. So it won't matter if you're into, say, Mongolian techno, death, core metal bands or just regular heavy metal bands. You will not be able to see your favorite band on a big stage with a huge backdrop.
I don't care about big bands. My favorite bands only play underground clubs.
Reality check. If the big bands die out, the smaller bands are gonna be pushed out to the margins even more. Don't you see that happening everywhere around you? So now your favorite band plays clubs where metal bands play on a daily basis. But what if, less and less people come to visit those concerts? What if the bar doesn't sell enough tickets or drinks? Then what? That can work for a couple of months, but what if that trend continues? What if they don't sell enough tickets and they don't sell enough, drinks for a couple of years? Will that club even exist anymore? Are they gonna move on from metal and rock bands and, start bringing in DJs? Are you getting the picture? Take Iron Maiden for example. Iron Maiden is playing everywhere. You have Iron Maiden shirts everywhere. They play stadiums in every country they visit. When they are playing a city or a country, there are billboards everywhere. I mean, they even have a fucking plane. The band is exposed in the media through different outlets. There are radio shows, there are ticket giveaways. That's a level of music business which every band can only dream of. Maiden is everywhere. People that don't know the band are exposed to the imagery and they're forced to know about the band. The general public knows when Maiden is coming to play in their country. The news outlets also report on that. But check this out. Steve Harris has a solo band. Bruce Dickinson has a solo band. Nico McBrain also has a solo band, and Nico's band actually plays in front of his restaurant in Florida every now and then. Iron Maiden has former members that also tour. Paul Di'Anno has musicians that play with them all the time. Blaze Bayley has musicians that play with him all the time. You have at least 50 Iron Maiden tribute bands in this world that are playing clubs all the time. Take away the members of Iron Maiden. Take away the former members of Iron Maiden. You take away these 8 or 9 guys and you have like tons and tons of musicians that have no charisma to maintain a big successful career. I mean, they could have a career, but to actually have a metal band wouldn't be feasible. If that's not feasible, then you're in a world of problems because you need a day job. When you have hungry mouths to feed at home and, marriages to maintain, it's not that easy to tour, and actually most people quit. Oh, and keep in mind that a day job can be performing live for some, ridiculous musician and playing the music that you actually don't want to play. If you own a live music venue like a club or a bar, then you're basically in the same situation. With no bands around to actually play, there won't be enough interest for you to own a live venue. It's gonna be hard to maintain, a profitable rock or metal live gig kind of a bar. So I've seen a fair share of clubs or live bars where metal bands used to play that have now turned into restaurants or turned into some other clubs where they play bullshit electronica music. So basically what I'm saying is, if you take away all of the media exposure that Iron Maiden has, and that's just one band, heavy metal as a whole is less represented in the media. If you have less media exposure, you have less interest. So let's just quickly fast forward into the near future. The members of Maiden have become too old to tour with Maiden. Maiden is gone as a live band, and all of the members are actually too old to even play in their solo projects. The number of metal concerts within a particular place or country depletes over years. Memories of all that, beautiful, glorious music slowly start to fade. Fast forward into the future a couple of years and even the tribute bands kind of slowly fade away and die out. The musicians that play in those bands need day jobs and have marriages to maintain. The evidence of, music dying is that tribute bands actually turn into revival bands. If the music needs revival, that means that it's dead. That's even less metal bands in existence and less metal concerts per year. The clubs close or change ownership and they change business models. They start to play dance music instead of rock music or instead of metal music. Burger joints that have stages only want to book AC/DC tribute bands. They won't book like black metal bands. Burger joints turn into gluten-free vegan burger joints. So your favorite niche Ethiopian techno black death metal core turbo whatever band actually is left without a stage to play on. No stage to play on, no need to practice instruments, and therefore metal dies. Kids go and buy turntables instead of guitars. It's easier. They start looping, syncing tempos. Actually, the thing does it automatically. They start pitch shifting shitty samples instead of actually playing music. Playing instruments becomes a lost art. Nuclear warfare, everybody dies except for Keith Richards and all of the cockroaches. Eventually the cockroaches die of old age. Keith Richards commits suicide because there's nothing left to do on this earth. So you see, that's what happens when you lose traditional. So what is traditional metal? Well, I think that traditional metal is something that you can actually sing along to and not just headbang or mosh. In fact, I don't actually care, what you call it. You can call it traditional or whatever, hard and heavy, but the point is that stuff has the mainstream appeal that metal needs, and that's the stuff that's gonna keep metal going. And that's the stuff that headlines the biggest metal festivals. So just deal with it and let's move on. Now for all of you older nostalgic types, you can listen to your favorite bands all you want, but the fact is that you have an expiration date. In fact, almost everything has an expiration date. Let me give you some, terms or things that kind of managed to expire over the years. Mainstream hard rock, gone, doesn't exist. Discography, everything is digital. No discs are actually being sold. Completely obsolete term since you get cars with stereos that don't even have a CD drive. MTV, they don't even play music. TV, not a way to consume new relevant music. Walkman, cassette, gone. iPod loses to the iPhone. An album, the album form will be abandoned in favor of digital releases of singles and EPs. CDs are going the way of the dodo. Glam to Liberace for the 21st century. Rock, I don't really know what to tell you. I think that the revivalists seem to be using the wrong kind of drugs. They're also too exposed in the public, they're always in the media, and they're all fucking hipsters with their fucking fruit branded computers. There are no intrigues that surround them, and there's definitely no drama. They're very boring and predictable. This list can go on forever, but let's change it up. Let me give you some bands that actually don't exist anymore and that you will never get to see live. Black Sabbath, gone. Dio, gone. Heaven and Hell, gone. Pantera, gone. Damage Plan, gone. Motorhead, not really metal, but it doesn't matter because Lemmy died. Typo Negative, Peter Steele, rest in peace. Him, gone. Led Zeppelin, dead for a long time. Motley Crue, doesn't exist, thank God. Rainbow, kind of potentially gone for good, but they won't make another album and I'm pretty sure they won't tour it. Twisted Sister, gone. Phil Lynott and Gary Moore, both gone. Static X, deceased. Death, no more. Control Denied, no more. Nevermore, gone. Rush, gone. See, with these bands gone, you know, a whole bunch of genres are already screwed. Sadly, I don't see a huge metal recovery on the horizon. And I don't clearly see a trend that's forming that's gonna pull it back out of the gutter. Even 10 years ago, you could still count like all of the metal bands that are in the business, and you know, you would think that metal is doing good. Heck, even 5 years ago, you could go through the roster, you could still see that metal was going strong, but now, not that much. Things are changing. A couple of years ago, I read an interview with Opeth in a magazine. That's right, kids, a magazine. It's made from paper. They claimed that they were guests on some metal radio station and that they were allowed to pick the songs in between parts of the interview. So some of the members from Opeth actually picked Judas Priest to play on air, and the radio host was like, no go. When members of Opeth actually asked the guy like, why won't you play Priest? The guy said Priest is not metal. So basically, if your singer doesn't sound like a wounded rabid dog, that's not metal. For some, that statement can be a little bit too idiotic to actually comprehend. The amount of idiocy in that statement is actually even greater when you take into consideration that Judas Priest actually made heavy metal. They were the first band that said we play heavy metal, so in fact, they invented the genre. They were the first metal band. It's their genre. So basically, they are the first ever heavy metal band in existence of the universe. But they are not metal enough to be played on a metal radio station. Oh, and please keep in mind that Opeth actually didn't use any growl vocals like in the last 3 or 4 albums, but they were still allowed to be played and to be interviewed on that same radio station. And for all of you that think that it's just a difference in opinions, it's not. It's actually a matter of facts. So my friends, I kind of think that things have taken a wrong turn. So in order for the metal genre to work as a whole, you need active metal bands, and these active bands actually need to be successful so that younger and up and coming bands can actually thrive and maybe later succeed in life. Now all of the big bands like Iron Maiden and Metallica with their huge live shows and PAs and everything and all of the media promotion are actually a platform that helps like smaller bands fill clubs. So to give you a direct example, bands like Meshuggah or Animals as Leaders are free to play their 8-string guitars or 9-string guitars and actually like fill up clubs, because you have bands like Iron Maiden and Metallica that are filling stadiums. They are promoting metal to everybody. They're pulling in all the numbers on tour. They're actually selling out stadiums. They're selling their t-shirts. They're selling their merch. People are wearing their merch everywhere around town. around all towns all over the world. There is interest. For every Tosin Abasi fan, there are at least 1,000 Maiden fans. They're willing to spend money to buy an instrument and practice. And then later, when they're, not satisfied with their 6-string guitar, they're gonna buy an 8-string and they're gonna get into Tosin Abasi. And then one day, they will maybe buy his, like, $2,000 or $3,000 guitar. So what will happen when those big bands aren't around anymore? Take the big names out of the roster, like Iron Maiden or Metallica, and then you have bands like Animals as Leaders and Tosin Abasi and Meshuggah and all of these bands that are in serious trouble. The guitar market will fail. The drum market will fail. Drums are the most expensive instruments. You need to buy drumsticks, you need to buy drum heads, you need to have a place to rehearse. You're making too much noise everywhere you go. Nobody wants to deal with that kind of, shit. Kids today are not interested in, having to actually work in order to produce something. They're used to, one-click solutions. So they're gonna buy a turntable or, just buy headphones and then scratch and, make stupid electronic music at home. So who's on the path of being the next Iron Maiden or Metallica? Which band is gonna fly to their gigs in 15 years' time? Which metal band is gonna stay at a hotel which is completely surrounded by fans, dying to get an autograph? Which band is gonna sell enough t-shirts so when they play a certain city, that whole city is just flooded by their t-shirts like it's the Super Bowl or some other sporting event? Whose fans are gonna sleep in front of the venue or camp in the middle of the street somewhere in Colombia just to see their favorite band? I don't see a lot of these bands, and that's why I believe that metal is dying. The real question is, who will headline Wacken 15 years from now? It doesn't really matter if it's Wacken or some other heavy metal festival, but actually a festival that attracts metal crowds, not like some social justice warrior bullshit, like neo-hippie kind of a festival where on the roster with all of these like bullshit bands you can find one metal band. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real festivals that celebrate metal. The thing is that all these successful bands that we know and love, they headlined, these big festivals when all of the members of the bands were in their early 30s. So where are all of those like 30-year-old musicians that are in the bands and they're headlining metal festivals? I actually don't see them. So again, who will headline Wacken in 15 years? That's the big question. This actually concludes my first video on the question of, is metal dying? In my next video on this topic, I will dive into the bands that might headline Wacken in 15 years or so. The next video on this topic will be more list oriented. So until I put out my next video on this subject, please listen to your favorite music. Try to expand your knowledge on other metal bands. Learn about bands that, have existed and of their names, but you're not actually familiar with their songs. Everything is available. Don't create like childhood memories, don't create grown-up memories, don't form memories while you're listening to bullshit music. Someday you're gonna be sorry. So keep it brutal. Life is too short to listen to bad music. Music is your friend, so choose your friends wisely. Oh yeah, and listen to the band Dehydrated. So the band Dehydrated are from Russia. They're from Siberia. They're actually completely crazy. Their singer is an amazing singer, and actually she can also growl better than just about every single growl vocalist that ever existed. Come to think of it, I think that she is the best, growl vocalist that ever existed. It's a shame that, her English isn't that great, but just listen to their music. And they are from Tomsk. That's really far away, deep into Russia. Yeah, so anyway, me and the resident German are out of here. Adios, guys.